Okay, so we learned of Hulk Hogan dying. Well, I did this early morning. I don't know when it was uploaded, but it was done by James Romero. And, I suggest you check out his channel because that's really good. He's got enough subscribers that it is. But still, one or two more from this little channel still helps him and the wrestling podcast community. So go check him out. The whole was it real, was it not? Bubba the Love Sponge, slightly over a month ago, saying that things aren't well. No one believed him because he's got a record of lying. And then Hogan's newest wife, she did what any wrestler would do, and that's protect the business. Hulk Hogan is a business, and she's trying to protect him. Or there's a chance she had no idea how bad things were getting, or had gotten, because you don't know who's telling you the truth and who's not. That's just life. Everyone's lying, so those that tell the truth seem like they're lying. It sucks. I've lived it my whole life. So I always told the truth because I knew nobody would believe me. That's literally what I did. And going on that, I guess the best thing I can do, which might be a little different than what others are doing, I'm just going to go on a personal reference, I guess, my views of Hulk Hogan and I guess all I could do is just sum it up, but from childhood up to now. And maybe leave on a kind of positive note. I'm going to try at least. So in short, for me, when it comes to my childhood, seeing Hulk Hogan, it would be a while before I saw WrestleMania 3 and whatnot. My first WrestleMania was, this was on VHS, it was WrestleMania 4, and then I think I saw WrestleMania 5, but they seemed to kind of blend together. WrestleMania 6 was the first one that I had ordered, Sky Dome, so Hogan, Warrior, and that was a 4-hour event. I remember me and my cousin going outside and playing basketball for quite a time, coming back in thinking it'd be over, but it wasn't. But that match, what I saw was, I did not think it was that great, but both wrestlers did what they always did. It just did not look good. And I wasn't an inside guy. I didn't know about it being a work or anything. I was like, I know it's not legit, but how do they determine how, when to win, who's going to win? Maybe who's ever the most tired doesn't kick out. Maybe whoever gets tired. Maybe there's a beating going on. I didn't know. I saw the Hulk Hogan cartoon, which I thought had a cool opening, and I cannot find that theme. And I'm starting to fear if I did find it's not going to sound as cool as I thought it was when I was a kid. To me, Rowdy Roddy Piper was his greatest nemesis. There was nobody else. So from cartoon to real life. And I remember when, I think it was WCW, when Piper said, "And I'm the reason that you have no hair." And I'm like, what? For me, as a kid, seeing Hogan, I was like, this guy's a good guy. And the kids love him. They did the videos, his opening stuff, him running, kind of doing the Rocky thing. The kids all happy for him. There was Hulk Hogan paraphernalia, ice cream bars, and all this kind of stuff. And to me, I was like, something ain't right. But he did the whole, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, yada, yada. And I thought, this guy is really good. Like a good guy, but I always thought, how can I say this? I thought he had a medical condition, because I'd seen people who had worked out and they were big, they were huge. Hogan looked like a berry trying to explode but can't. His face was just bad. Ultimate Warrior, his face looked like it was reasonable, but his body was bigger than Hogan's. Hogan talked about the 24-inch pythons, and I was like, okay, it's a big arm. I really at the time as a kid couldn't get it. But Bobby Heenan, he made things reasonable for me. He called Hulk Hogan a charlatan, a huckster, a trickster. He's lying to you. He's never honest. All these bad, negative things. And I'm thinking, why is he the only one saying this? Gorilla Monsoon, Vince McMahon, and all this. No matter of fact, the other person was Jesse Ventura. And so, as a kid, I'm like, I think these guys that's talking bad about him know more about him than anybody else. Then, fast forward some, this whole deal with Macho Man, where I'm like, why are these two, and literally when they hooked up as the Mega Powers, I'm like, why are these two teaming up? They aren't going to get along. From jump, when they first announced that they was going to be working together, I was like, isn't Savage going to get jealous because of Miss Elizabeth? Isn't that going to break things up? And then lo and behold, it did. And I'm just like, I don't know about this. You know, I didn't care too much for WWF because I was a NWA/WCW guy. I was a Ric Flair guy, Sting, Lex Luger, and all them. When I finally got into wrestling, all that was slowly about to change. It was slowly changing. It was going to become abrupt as Flair went to WWF. He and Hogan never hooked up. Hogan left. He was gone. Andre the Giant was, I think, gone or roughly still on his way out. The Colossal Connection, him and Haku. So much stuff. So then Hogan goes to WCW where for once I got to see him as him. That's why I'm using that picture. Because while he was still performing, I think that was the most legit, honest Hulk Hogan you would have ever gotten. It was for the money. It was for the fame. It's for the power, the control, everything. It was so blatant, so clear. And he was not a record player being played over and over. He wasn't on a loop. He would say different stuff. I enjoyed the honesty, but I didn't enjoy how it was ran. It was just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if we're taking over, and it got to the point I thought NWO was something else. Got so big, they split off into 2 groups. And one group had the only guy left that was like, okay, there we go. Hogan and Flair did eventually hook up, but that did not go the way people wanted it to go. And Hogan had something to do with that. Hogan eventually goes to TNA. That didn't work out. Not too well. You know, and I mean, because it worked out well for Hogan, which my add is part of sort of what I'm going to say at the end. Okay, and so yeah, you know, all that's Mark stuff. Enjoyed that stuff, but then I'm gonna say Hogan sort of couldn't turn off Hulk Hogan. You know, Terry Bollea couldn't turn off the other guy. That's what it seems. But then again, in professional wrestling at his era, you were taught to protect the business. Ergo, you are pretty much lying 90% of the day and almost 100% to your family so that they can tell the true lie to their friends and keep up the facade of professional wrestling. So, it's a thing. So, sorry for that pause. I looked at the sun's covered. I was like, does that say start recording? I was about to lose it. But I really, Hogan in TNA, he tried to do something different, tried to be the old school Hogan, and nobody was believing it. They already knew. I mean, it was like by then the fans had become smart. You can't say on this TV, that TV, because social media was the missing link. So you can't hide. So you can't go say your prayers, eat your vitamins, do the right thing, be a Hulkamaniac, I'm rooting for you, yada yada, and then go to another company and say, screw all of you, it was all for the money, I never cared about any of you, and then go to another place and say, I love you and I support you and I hope you support me. It's like, it's not going to work. And then all the other social media over time, the racist stuff coming out and people giving him a one-time pass. It's Hulk Hogan. He's an icon. He's a legend. So give him a free pass, okay? Everyone screws up once. And then you have someone like Booker T coming out and backing Hogan. So that's going to really help lay it down, especially with all the stories and stuff told. So, yeah, you give him a pass. Me, it was like, nah. It's like, it's obvious, right? For me, it's obvious. But, I couldn't help it. Maybe he got duped. Maybe it was a little secret recording, and he is trying to get him a piece. You say what you got to say to get that piece. I gave him a small pass. Gave him a reasonable, lustful pass. Crime of passion. That kind of thing. And then it happens again. So it's okay. Well, it's not a pass. It's who you are. And then he comes out as MAGA. He supports Donald Trump, which to me that link was, well, Donald Trump did a thing with Vince McMahon and they had a thing, so there's some connection. You try to be innocent, but at my age, at seeing all that I've seen, listen to all that I've listened to, and I mean, I listen. So I'm like, nah, when someone tells you who they are, you need to listen. And I learned that from Bo the Fifth Column. So I always knew that, but he gave me the words to express that long, drawn out paragraph feeling that I've always had. And so, well, it's Bella the Fifth Column now. Bo he gone. He's not dead, but he had to step down because workaholic. So for those that know about Bo and all that stuff, that was for y'all. I just had to listen to Hogan. Just listen to him tell lies, open up a shop, and anything that Hogan would say, it's kind of like, oh, okay. Because I don't care one way or the other. It's, okay, he said it, let's move on. It's pretty cool. That's nice. Okay, then he's saying stuff to certain people, and I'm like, that can't be true. Like there's certain things you're saying that's not right, but maybe he got a different take on it. Maybe his view of it is just a little obscure, but some things, and so listening to Jim Cornette and listening to others that got personal experience with Hogan, it's like, this dude is just lying. And when I saw him talking to the preacher, I'm like, okay, look, I'm going to probably lose subscribers. I'm not a religious guy. Hogan was an actual part of why I'm not. And when it came to him sitting down with a preacher and still lying, I'm like, you're in a church talking to a preacher, it's national. All these religious people are watching you and hoping that you're telling the truth, and they want to be entertained. They want to get some inside stuff, maybe hear some jokes, hear some stories that they can gravitate towards, and you won't turn off the business. And I'm like, dude, come on. You're at an age where you should just not care anymore. And then I thought about it. I hearkened it back to Rowdy Roddy Piper when they were in, I think WSI or K-Fabe Commentaries was talking to him. And if you watch that, when they're asking questions, Roddy looked like he had a gun to his head, or he knew the people would kill his family if he said something. It was painful. I almost wanted to tell them, why don't you stop interviewing this guy? He is obviously hurt. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. Protect the business no matter what. At all costs, you protect the business. So lie. Or maybe Hogan, he was caught up in the one thing that this country, honestly, this entire planet is based on, and it's capitalism. What's the goal? Make money. Why? 1, first and foremost, support yourself. 2, support your family. 3, take care of those that you love, if you can. Help those out that you can. You know, if you are that type. What's your worth? Bargain your worth. Hogan was the type of person to say, look, I want 25% of pay-per-view buys. 25%. I mean, just imagine once a month making $250,000 and you have to go out there and perform somewhere between 9 and 17 minutes. Or, I mean, when it comes to action, for Hulk Hogan, it's probably about 9 to 12 minutes, and it's probably 20 minutes of laying down or walking around or begging off. Very smart, very wise. He had his stuff down. Hogan was old school. So no matter liking him, disliking him, him exposing the business to me, because all his matches were pretty much the same, he had facial expressions, whether he's winning or losing. He gets beat down, he's crumpled, he's sitting over, he's selling. He look, as much as I disliked Hulk Hogan, there were times where he got attacked and he just slumped over. And I'm like, somebody help this man. And I would get a little peeved. As much as I disliked him, I'm like, man, I wanted to jump through the screen and help him. He did good. You know, him versus Vader, him versus Muta, I was not a fan of when I saw that. His style in the WWF, WCW, more or less kind of different, but they pale in comparison to him wrestling in New Japan Pro Wrestling under Antonio Inoki's regime. And so the guy had gears. The guy could carry a match. He was a ring general. He knew what he wanted. He knew what he liked. He always went against opponents that made sense. He didn't go against just any old body. And the few, maybe two squash matches I saw on WWF Saturday Morning Wrestling Challenge, he went in, did his thing. It lasted maybe, I don't know, 40-some seconds or something. He never broke a sweat. He cut the promo and leave. You know, and I mean, it was nothing, but to them it was everything. He was a draw. He made money for every promotion, even if the people hated him. He drew money. You cheer him, make money. You boo him, he make money. You want him to go home, you sick of seeing him, still drew money. It won't like Tai Chi where people like, I mean, I'll show up, but that's for everybody else. People's like, I don't want to see Hogan in the ring. He shouldn't wrestle anymore. And they would go to see him, hoping that he, I guess, would get hurt or just not show up or just watch him wrestle and complain about it. He drew money. Can't say he didn't. He got paid top dollar. He always bargained his worth. If there's one thing you could take away from Hulk Hogan living in this capitalist world, literally your worth, you demand it. You demand that money. It don't matter if you're going for some low-wage job, middle-class job, or upper-class job or whatnot. Your worth, you ask for top dollar because you're worth it. Why? Because you are you. That's what I would get from everything from Hulk Hogan. How he was with his family. He had kids. He got wives. He still took care of them. No matter how they feel about him, literally that's their business, not mine. It's not my business, and it's not your business to have your feelings osmosed into his family about him. They feel the way about him the way they feel, and that's their entitlement. You're not entitled to be entitled to it. You're not. So the people that love him, the people that mourn him, you know, hey, go at it. Cry about it. It don't matter how old you are. I don't care if you're 70, 80, and 90 and you're like, Hogan is dead. Oh my goodness. Cry it out. You watched his career. You was with him. No matter if you weren't with him, you were with him. You earned it. You earned it. I don't care if it's been 5 or 10 years and you watching all these old matches. You're like, this guy is great. He really leaves an impression on me. You mourn him, mourn him. And if you don't care, then don't care. If you're like, God, screw him, glad he's dead, fine. But there's 2 ways to view this. Not the mourning, his death. Because his death is what he leaves behind. No wrestler today, modern wrestler, cares about his matches, his performances, although they should. They should care. They should watch his tapes, his videos, and whatnot. See how he cut the promos. It doesn't matter if it's phony. Hogan was in the moment when he did it. He was in the moment when he did it. He sounded like he gave a damn. You can't even listen and say, oh, this guy's full of it. Like most wrestlers in the ring today. No, Hogan was in that mode. He was in that moment. He was in that light. And he commanded and demanded it. And you gave it to him. It was hearing a Hogan promo. It won't some people. I'm gonna turn from this. I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. Nope. Short, sweet, to the point, done. He didn't stand in that ring and go back and forth with somebody like some soap opera drama. He cut the promo. You want to hit me? You want to sneak up on me? Well, go ahead and do so, because I'm going to fight back every single time. And eventually we're going to get you in the ring. I'm going to be in the square circle. There's going to be a referee. And then what you're going to do when Hulkamania goes wild on you, yada, yada, or runs wild on you. Almost cookie cutter, but everything else would be a little something different. He did good work. But his legacy, what predominantly people are going to remember, and it sucks. He was a jacked up, roided guy who lied through his entire career, lied when his career was more or less over, tried to start a new promotion, however that was going to be ran. He supported the what we can honestly say through data and their own rhetoric, their bills and legislations passed, and what they cheer for. He supported a racist political party. And he died under all of that. A racist, a liar, post-roided up, because I don't think he was doing any roids. But I do think doing the steroids for as long as he had done before getting off of them had a lot to play with some of his heart failure, or at least something of it. But once I would say WCW, NWO, Hollywood Hogan, I don't think that was roids at all. And I think that was the best shape he had ever been in. And honestly, in my opinion, that was the absolute coolest Hulk Hogan had ever looked. Even when he went back to the red and yellow, well, that in that shape, he looked cool. He was the only half-bald wrestler that I thought looked right as that half-bald wrestler. It just would not look right if he had when I saw him in Rocky 3, a head full of hair, I'm like, that don't look right. I was like, don't look right. I think I saw AWA, some footage from that. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. So NWO Hogan was the most honest you'll ever get. And while he did I know y'all ain't gonna like it, but still, as I said, he died with all that negativity, but he left some positives. Your worth is everything, and you market, you value, and you demand financially your worth. That's what you do. And as a business owner or whatnot, or anyone in the business field, You pretty much pay somebody what you think they are worth. You're going to pay them this amount. They need to be able to get you maybe 2 to 10 times that amount out of them. And Hogan is also known for, I'm gonna say it, he killed the ability, the chance to push WWF and all of professional wrestling into a more socialist area where the wrestlers are taken care of by the company they sacrifice their bodies for to make a living for their family. He stopped that. He stopped Jesse Ventura from unionizing the WWF. There's a lot of negativity and there's some positivity. He worked hard to provide for his family. He worked hard to make sure he looked good. He worked hard to make sure that he was presentable on all fronts, everywhere of the business that he was in. Financially, physically, vocally, his wrestling attire. He made sure he did right. Yeah, he buried people. He didn't really elevate anybody so much because he always had to win. But you going on your worth, you can't be a loser. You know, there's not too many people that will make money off of losing. Barry Horowitz was about to make money off of losing. And from what it was like to me, they got rid of him before he was valuable as a loser. But like him, love him, or hate him, Hogan is going to leave a long-lasting legacy in the professional wrestling industry, and it would do well for modern wrestlers to study that old footage, see how he made his comebacks, see how he cheated in favor of the fans, see how he did everything in that ring to promote the match that was going on, to tell that story. Hearing his promos even after a loss, hearing his promos before going into each match, how he handled himself. Listen to that. It's always remarkable. And so that's the footnote I'm going to leave on right there. Hulk Hogan is someone to have always watched, listened to, and learned from. So with that, this has been Cedric for CR Wrestling Commentary. I want y'all to be cool, be chill, be safe, especially in this heat if you can. And I'll see you next time.